Welcome back to the Gray Space. Today we're going to discuss two Johns, one former street gangster
and one ex-made man.
So first, I'm going to be diving deep into the online persona of John Bartolomeo, aka Johnny Bart, aka at official_Johnny_Bartolomeo, aka
there's more,
at 27 Straight Peril. So, a former East Boston street figure and a man with a serious criminal background who now presents himself as a motivational storyteller, a redeemed man trying to guide others away from the life he once lived.
People do change by maintaining core values. You can still be the same person. Like, you don't have to cooperate on a criminal investigation to say you changed, though, you know what I mean? So, I mean, you can still be a solid guy. You can still have morals and values that are attractive to people.
But some questions still arise. Is his transformation real, or is it a brand?
Yeah, this one definitely has layers.
So, Johnny grew up in East Boston, a neighborhood with a tough reputation, Italian-American, working class, and full of street culture. He's talked about idolizing his father, but he was still surrounded by a lot of different figures that kind of pulled him to trouble early on.
Just try to do something every single day that makes my mother proud. You know, I put my mother through a lot of heartache, and I wish I had the chance to do it over. And I have a little regret about that, of course, but you can only live your life moving forward, but only understand it in reverse.
This path eventually led him into Hell's Angels, and his involvement in crime, some of which he publicly discusses, landed him a 27-year federal sentence.
Damn, 27 years is crazy.
Yeah, and prison time changes people, sometimes for better, sometimes for worse. If you watched his Instagram reels, you probably have heard him talk about loyalty, past mistakes, and the mindset that he carried with him when he was in the streets in the biker world. The way he tells these stories, he doesn't outwardly glorify the past, but he also doesn't fully separate from the identity that came with it.
Yeah, he definitely speaks the language.
Yeah. So today, Johnny presents himself as a changed man. He runs his apparel brand, 27 Straight, and he uses Instagram and podcast videos to talk about discipline, regret, and personal growth. His message is often about not following the path he did. He warns younger people of the dangers of street life, and he wants to turn his past into something positive and educational.
At face value, it definitely sounds like something of a redemption story.
Yeah. In many of his videos, he describes the realities of prison, long stretches of isolation, personal regret, and physical and mental battles he went through. He talks about how those experiences forced him to confront who he was and who he wants to become.
Yeah, it really leads into that reflective mentor style.
Yeah. But there's another side to Johnny's identity. Even while speaking about redemption, he continues to lean into that street-coded language, visuals, and branding. He talks about loyalty, never folding, and staying solid. A lot of these terms are still used and associated with the street and biker world. And his clothing brand pushes slogans like "hard work is gangster" and emphasizes toughness, grit, and resilience. So, I guess we can agree none of this is inherently bad, but that does raise the question: has he moved past that life, or is his brand identity still tied to it?
So for all the time I did in prison, and you people are out there supporting me, buying my clothing line, man, I just, listen, from the bottom of my heart, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. I love you, man. I love you to death.
Especially here, it feels like the past is still part of the product.
So there's a lot of interviews on YouTube where Johnny often talks about discipline, self-improvement, and the lessons that he's learned from his time in the federal system. He speaks a lot with emotion and sometimes even vulnerability, but you get the sense that he truly regrets part of his past. And at the same time, duality remains. He's preaching growth while still representing himself through the aesthetics and language of the identity he says he's left behind. So is Johnny Bart's redemption real? Emotionally, I think there is sincerity. He clearly reflects on his past and acknowledges mistakes and expresses regret. He's building a business and is staying away from crime and is using legal avenues to move forward. But his branding and messaging styles still lead heavily into street persona. And at least publicly, there isn't strong evidence of long-term community work, youth outreach, or even charity involvement that would solidify his transformation into something deeper than a personal brand.
So it's not really black and white, it's more like a gray space, if you know.
Exactly. So Johnny's story seems to be part personal growth, part business strategy. He does promote positive messages, but he also monetizes the same imagery that once defined his own life. And ultimately, whether you see his redemption as genuine or performative, that's something each viewer is going to have to decide for themselves.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those cases where people are going to have to interpret what they think based off of like their values.
So, Julia, I hear you have some fascinating information for
I
us.
sure do, Cece. I'll be looking at the very unusual public transformation of John Panisi. He was a former made member of the Lucchese family, and this is one of New York's 5 families. So Panisi claims that he entered the mob in 2013 and then left in 2018 after internal conflicts with brothers, with the rest of the family, and then eventually became a public storyteller about the Mafia. And he now runs blogs and podcasts. His is called Sit Down News, where he shares firsthand about the structures of the Mafia, their rituals, and their daily operations of La Cosa Nostra.
I don't know about you, but I'm sad.
So to understand Panisi, here's a quick factual overview. He grew up in New York City, or New York, in areas where Italian-American crime and criminal networks were a really large part of their daily life. Panisi became involved actually at the age of 14, and where he would drive trucks. He worked for like a luggage company to deliver lost luggages from the airport back to people's homes. But his job was to, rifle through their luggages, steal whatever was valuable, and then deliver it to them.
14, that's still a kid.
Yeah, I know. And so, like, although his family wasn't directly involved, like, organized crime had such a huge influence over young men and young kids' lives. And they were all surrounded by crime. Like, for example, the Gambino family, he was introduced to them by his cousin, and more specifically, John Gotti Jr.
And did you know John Gotti Jr. personally?
Yes. Yes, I
Okay.
did.
You guys had a close relationship, or just every so
No,
often?
I mean, we were friends and friendly, and we were around him, which would equate to associated to him.
This clip further shows just how involved one can get into organized crime, even if their family isn't necessarily involved.
As a 20-year-old, Panisi got into a misunderstanding with a young man that was completely not related to crime or organized crime. And then as a direct result of that, Panisi was sentenced to up to 25 years, and he only spent 17 years in jail, but for manslaughter. And so after his release from jail, Panisi went through an official induction ceremony with the Lucchese family, and then which is one of the most secretive rituals in organized crime.
I feel like this is like the stuff you see in movies, but it's real.
Yeah, totally. And after initiation, he functioned as a soldier and performed tasks for them to make the family money, specifically for higher-rank members. But he participated in business operations, passed messages between members, upheld family traditions, rules, all for the organization of La Cosa Nostra.
Kind of boring, basically the day-to-day operations,
Right.
whatever had to get done.
Exactly, but he said that he was really excited as a kid, and even after being made man, he tried to stay away from it for about 5 years after getting out of jail, but then, as time went on, he kept on being asked by, old brothers of the family, and, he kind of gave in. He claims that members of his own crew actually accused him of going to the police and cooperating with them, which was not true, but, even, in the mob, even being suspected of disloyalty and accused of something is super, super dangerous.
It's definitely a turning point, because once you step over that line, there's no going back.
Right, totally. And he then chose to leave after and cooperated with police, but it took him a really long time. It took him 8 to 9 months to choose to do this, because once you do, you put your family at risk. He had 2 kids. But yeah, after he went to the police, he actually was in 3 trials, 2 minor, 1 major, and just kind of told them about operations and, internal dynamics of La Cosa Nostra.
The biggest misconception about Cosa Nostra and the people that are involved in that life are people really believe that there is honor, loyalty, and respect. These 3 principles which Cosa Nostra is based on, it no longer exist. Honor, loyalty, and respect have been replaced by selfishness and greed.
Now, this is one of the main reasons he left the Mafia life.
After breaking Omerta, he created Sit Down News, wrote articles, went on podcasts, and then explained, of course, mob hierarchy, etiquette, codes of conduct, stuff like that.
Damn, and he's doing that all publicly? That's something a lot of people haven't done before.
Yeah, no, exactly. So, definitely a breakthrough, but I do have a surprise for us, you see.
Wait, what?
Yeah, so just the other day, I had the opportunity to interview the real John Panisi.
You're kidding.
I'm not even joking. I think we should roll the clip. Do you think we should roll the clip?
I think we should
I
roll
think
the
we should
clip.
Hello, John.
Hi, Giulia.
How are you?
Come stai?
Bene, grazie.
I'm doing great.
Well, that's
Thank
great.
you for having me.
Yes, of course. Thank you for coming on the show, The Blank Space. We're just going to
Absolutely.
get right into our questions. So, John, a lot of people wonder whether your blogs and YouTube videos are truly authentic or if they're just part of your online persona. How do you see it?
It is real, absolutamente real. I left that life because I saw what truly was. I
Mhm.
regret all the choices that I made. I want people to understand that the truth without making anything seem nicer or more, glamorous. That really is because it's not a very good life.
Hennessy does constantly say he feels regret,
Yeah.
particularly about how his lifestyle affected his family.
But his redemption is a little bit complicated. I feel like he monetizes his experience through YouTube interviews and um through his website. And so while the remorse may be real, the presentation of the remorse is a little bit like, hey guys, this is my public platform. If you want 20% off, use code Mafia 20, you know what I mean?
You can donate with the Super Thanks icon down below or through the PayPal Cash App links in the video's description. Let me quickly mention my blog, also called Sit Down News, especially for those of you who still enjoy reading. The site can be found at sitdownnews.com and is a paid subscription.
So, what specific actions are you taking that could benefit the public or help prevent others from entering the mafia life?
Well, like I said before, I'm trying to educate the people. I explain how that mafia life really works. You hear me say, now that is not my type of life. It's not for me.
Mhm.
So if anyone listened to my stories and decided, well, probably that is not a very good path to go down to, I consider that a victory, una vittoria. So un successo per me, a success for me, right?
So after hearing this, his biggest contribution really is education. He explains the mob, and what the mob life looks like from an actual ex-made men's perspective. The paranoia, the internal conflicts, and so on.
So it sounds like if you need the Cliff Notes version of Mafia hierarchy, he's your guy.
He's your guy.
You publish blogs, videos, and interviews. Do you think your online presence truly helps people, or is it more like a sort of personal branding?
It's a little bit of both, Julia. Like I say, I want to help people. I don't think this is a very good life, so I want to help them. And I like to, I like them to see me for who I am right now, not what I was in the past.
Mm.
But I also need to bring home some grana, some money, or Americans say income. So
Mhm.
I'm doing these blogs, I'm doing the videos, and I'm selling this content. In fact, how much are you paying me today? Wink.
Oh, lots. I can't disclose it to our audience.
Does also benefit from attention.
Well, I mean, that's true. His redemption story kind of functions as both a morality lesson and as a career pivot. He is making money from this.
All right, last question. After leaving the mafia, many people disappear quietly. So why did you choose a public, visible platform?
Yeah, good question. I lived the mafia life firsthand, and seeing movies and documentaries to make way more beautiful, more nicer, più bella, la vita più bella che c'è. That is not right. That is not the path that you want your young kids going and take for it, because it is no, and non, like in Italian they say, non è tutto oro quel che luccica. It's not all gold wherever it shines, and this something like that. It is the same thing, and you know what? And if somebody's gonna go down that path, the young guy go down that path, gal, and they find themselves in deep, deep trouble, and a lot of times 6 feet underground, or you never know, maybe tied to a cement ball on the bottom of the sea of the ocean, maybe outside here in New York, or maybe in Venice, who knows, right? So
Yeah.
it's better if they don't go that path.
He wants to correct mob myths, which is fair.
Yeah, but being public also gives him safety, and it's a lot harder to disappear. A guy when he posts 3 videos a week, and half the internet's like, "Hey, where'd John go?" He's right there. Yeah, witness protection, but he also is really involved in the internet and posting public YouTube videos and educating people. But he's still there.
That's a wrap!
You kind of look like him, not gonna lie.
No, non mi assomiglia per niente. He doesn't look like me, dear.
Non mi somiglia per niente.